Welcome back, jesters of the culture court. Maybe we can keep it going this time. Either way, this is the kind of thing that I really wanted to do. Yeah, we'll continue to talk about some of the more spicy things that are going on. But you know what? I also wanted to, on this channel, just talk about weird cultural things that I notice that in a lot of cases, people don't really ever question or wonder why, or seem to just accept. And one of the things that I find very peculiar, well, not really, but is the fact that we have two-way roads. I know everyone's thinking like, what's he on about now? Yes, two-way roads. Why are the roads two-way as opposed to why aren't roads one-way? Because if you think about it, how absurd is it that we have these multi-ton pieces of metal hurtling towards each other at possibly a cumulative 90 miles an hour, and we expect them to be separated by about 4 inches? That's insane. That's crazy. Yet roads are two ways. Okay. Well, why are the roads two ways? You know, I just got to ponder this. I actually didn't do any real research into this because I just wanted it to be a thought exercise for everybody. And here is what I came up with. And it actually will dovetail into something else I'll probably talk about later on. And it's very simple. The reason roads are two ways is because the government is cheap. That's it. That's really all it is. Since the Romans started building actual paved roads all the way back whenever, yeah, they just didn't want to pay for 2 one-way roads or even a wide enough to be two-way road. They were just cheap. And back then, since it was basically horses and carts, it was kind of a, yeah, just figure it out. Yeah, no, we're not going to talk about why left drive, right drive. No, it doesn't really matter. Right, so the reason that roads are two-way is because the government is cheap, and it was just, you know, easier to pay for one road and expect people to navigate each other than to do the better thing, and that's 2 one-way roads. But beyond that, what I really wanted to think about, and what I started thinking about is like, could this have changed? Was there ever an opportunity for someone really to look at this and say, this is kind of stupid? We should have one-way roads. They are, in many ways, a lot better. Safety, usability, everything. I imagine. Oh, actually, no, that's the thing. Here, right now, the most dangerous thing you could do on the road is turn left. Yes, that is the most dangerous traffic operation that's allowed out there. And the fact that it's still allowed, yeah, the government is cheap and the politicians don't really care. Right? I'm just putting it out there. So, who could have done this? This is really the thought exercise, right? So I'll give you a few minutes. Go ahead, pause the video, and think about some opportunities that somebody would have had to change the way we do roads into one-way roads. Okay, there you go. Did you come up with anything? All right, well, go ahead, hit the subscribe button, and then I'll give you what I came up with. I think there were 3 opportunities in history for somebody to have changed this. 3 people that were powerful enough, perhaps capricious enough to do this, and it could have stuck for various reasons. The first opportunity I think we had was actually during Rome, during Roman times. And yes, I do think about ancient Rome from time to time. And that would have been Emperor Hadrian, who ruled the empire from, when was it? 117 to 138. And he is not always credited as the most powerful or the emperor of the largest Roman domain. That would have been Trajan. But Trajan being the immediate previous emperor, Hadrian inherited a large, prosperous, and peaceful Roman empire. And Hadrian is credited for being peaceful and prosperous. So they would have had the money and, you know, meaning it would have been okay for some vanity projects, and making one-way roads, I guess, would have been something that he could do. And you know what? Here's the thing. The reason I say they had to be capricious enough, it could have been something silly, like Hadrian was out on his horse one day, and ox cart was coming along, and the horse got spooked, and he was thrown off. So, you know, from henceforth, all roads must be one way. That's the kind of reasoning that really could have gone into something like that. So yes, Hadrian probably could have changed the world and created one-way roads. The next opportunity that we had was, let's just say, maybe 1,000 years later, with Pope Innocent III, who is often credited as being the most powerful pope with the most direct power in history, simply because of a lot of circumstances that were going on in Europe at the time. So he similarly could have had some crazy incident and decided that all the roads must be one way and made it some kind of, sacrilege against the church to have two-way roads, or he made it a form of penance or something like that. But whatever reason he would have come up with, he probably had the power to do this, because while not being the direct ruler of a lot of the nation states around Europe, they were still Catholic and owed allegiance to the church for various reasons. And yes, so after Hadrian, Innocent III probably could have done it. And the final candidate for making one-way roads, and the last one, I don't think anybody's really had the power to do this ever since, would have been Queen Victoria of Britain. She ruled the kingdom from 1837 to 1901. So she had a long time to do this. And granted, she was not nearly as powerful directly as Hadrian or Innocent would have been, but she was still the British monarch during the height of the empire, and she could have made it done, again, as a vanity project, at the discretion of the sovereign or whatever. And the reason she was probably the last one is because she had enough worldwide influence in Europe and in Asia and in Africa and even in North America to make a meaningful change to this. Although I have to, I must admit that while maybe Canada would be using one-way roads here in the United States, I think we would have been a little bit more resistant to that, so much so that somehow they would have come up with three-way roads in order to not do that. Yeah, we can be that petty, for sure. Anyway, so yes, why do we have two-way roads? Why is it not the case where all roads are one-way, which are much safer, much more useful, easier to reconfigure for multiple flows of traffic and everything like that? Like, for instance, here in my neighborhood, I think it's crazy that we have two-way roads, as opposed to one-way roads with, a car lane and a slow-moving vehicle lane, and then a separated sidewalk. I mean, I know. I'm talking like one of these urbanist wonks, but on some things they are actually right. So much easier with one-way roads. Why isn't that the norm? Why isn't the insanity of a two-way road, a dangerous two-way road, why isn't this crazy? I don't know. So that is my oddly random thought for the day. I think I might have done this in one take. Yeah, I did. In fact, you know what? I'm not even going to edit it except to cut off the beginning and, I don't know, maybe reaching for the camera. I know some people do that, but it's fine. It's fine. Okay, well, there you go. What do you think? Should all roads be one way? Really? Are we still suffering from cheap government? Well, yeah, we're always going to suffer from cheap government. I'm right.